That's right, SpeCial versus Reynor, an amazing Terran versus Zerg. I'm bringing you the cast alongside Pig once again. They just love us today, don't they?
Hey, always happy to be casting some lovely games here in Montreal, and I think this series is going to be just that. These two, some of the most exciting players to watch, so I just cannot wait to see what happens. We're going to be starting off down here in the bottom right-hand side. In the blue, everybody's favorite Terran player from Mexico. Put your hands together for SpeCial.
And his opponent in the top left of Ephemeron, it is the Red Zerg from Italy. He is Reynor.
I feel like I learn some new words in the English dictionary every single time we get a new map pool. Ephemeron.
Okay.
Had to look that one up a few times, was impressed.
What is it?
It's like an insect with a really short term life, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right. That's a weird thing to name your map, but all right. Yeah, you know, I learned who King Sejon was.
Yeah,
King Sejon Station, and it helped me in my Korean class. It's so useful. StarCraft helped you in college. That's what everyone should tell their parents right now.
Indeed, and it's definitely not about the problem solving, the learning, the strategies. It's about the random words we learn from the maps.
Absolutely. Thank you, map makers. Thank you. Disco Bloodbath. I learn a lot about that, maybe? No? I do hope we get to see a very large map like that, though. Ephemeron actually, one of the shorter maps we have.
Yeah. With lots of interesting terrain, right? We've seen really cool pushes on this. Can't remember exactly who was playing, but I've seen mech pushes with tanks kind of spread across high grounds. We've seen those bridges become big areas of contention. And in general, Zerg players struggling to secure a fourth base and the ground in front of it. The most natural fourth has bridges in front of it. It's a very siegeable location. It's spread quite far from the natural. And basically, we're just seeing very action-packed games here. So really enjoying this map so far. Love to see some more of it. It is going to be an SCV scout for SpeCial. Comes across, sees the hatch first, and does start blocking that natural. The Reaper will come over, of course, and win that battle. But, tries to get the gas steal, but SpeCial sidles that Reaper up right next to the gas, so the extractor actually can't fit on it, blocks it, already getting a drone kill. A very nice start for SpeCial.
Yeah, doesn't seem like a lot, but they're already doing pretty well. Of course, this is going to be some revenge for SpeCial. GSL versus the World excluded, because that wasn't a main WCS stop. It's going to be revenge for the summer performance. Reynor is able to take it and take the entire thing, right? So, oh boy, this is... I feel like SpeCial is totally up to the task, but we are, of course, in that new patch on the new maps, and there has been some grumbling, specifically from SpeCial about these new maps. So while maybe Reynor is weak to that late game mech, perhaps, then maybe SpeCial is feeling uncomfortable on the map. So, who gets the advantage here? Yeah,
it's really interesting to see. And, of course, this big evolution in the meta recently is Overlord speed coming in very early, with it being cheaper than ever now. But nonetheless, Reynor actually gets it before starting Zergling speed. So it's going to be really early, but he's given up the mobility to kind of trap any early Hellions. Of course, this is not a gas first. These aren't like the fastest in-your-face Hellions. So Reynor doesn't have to worry too much about that. But what I find really interesting as well is this low-ground wall-off from SpeCial, which just shuts down any early Ling run-bys. It allows your Hellions to go straight across the map, start pressuring, picking off creep tumors. And it also means if you do one of these really aggressive Hellbat timings we saw earlier in the tournament, you're not open to the Ling run-by backstab.
Yeah, absolutely, which we did see really devastate some other Terrans in this tournament. So that, it could have been possible. Maybe that's also what pressured Reynor to go for the earlier speed of the Overlords as well, but he would have gotten that. I think he's been doing that quite a bit. A lot of the Zergs have, so maybe not really what prompted it, but he's got the full scout, so there was no armory. In fact, it's going to be Banshees, so not going right into the BCs. SpeCial has shown us Banshees before. It was against Stefano, actually, and that was a game he lost. So.
Oh, he's going to dive. He's going to dive. He knows Link speed is not ready for another 10 seconds. And SpeCial going to try to take advantage. One Hellion gets trapped by the Queens, though. They do isolate it. And nothing exposed at the third base. Now, it's been a pretty quick swap off the factory. So there's no more Hellion production this game. Already tanks, Marines, and Banshees building with a third command center. Now, this can be purely defensive, but it can also explode across the map into one of these weird, like 2 to 3 siege tanks, 2 or 3 Banshees, and just a pack of unupgraded Marine pushes. I'm not sure if there's a position to do that on a 3rd base on this map, but you certainly could do it to pressure a 4th.
Right, exactly. I mean, those builds are good because there's certain spots on certain maps. Otherwise, you're going to wait for a little more buffer on those tanks. But, I mean, it might be something around the 4th base.
Yeah.
Or it could just be very defensive play. I mean, both tanks and Banshee's going to defend against anything that's come across the map. There's a few Hellions for any Lings. We do have a follow-up of Bio. Barracks are on the way, so that's going to be, like, later sim than certainly some other builds we have.
Absolutely, and Banshee's just poking around. Very conservative play from SpeCial, but Reynor's played quite safe. Pretty heavy Zergling count, pretty heavy Queen count. Spores are up. So it's actually very nice that SpeCial isn't overcommitting into this.
Yeah, is he? Okay, so I was wondering if he was thinking that it might be mech. I think that's what everyone is afraid of in general, but maybe especially Reynor, who knows SpeCial, would know that. You know, they know that, I know. But it's actually going to be in a Baneling nest, so I think that might have been a canceled Roach Warren. It was very close to finishing.
Oh, wow.
If that was the case. So, yeah, okay, cool stuff. So he, very last second, gets that, realizes, hey, it's actually not mech. It's going to be Bio, and he's going to go for the Baneling response. Queen almost dies to the... not exactly surprise Banshees, but coming into the natural 2 at a time, looking for the one-shot drone kills. Gonna grab 3 and get out of there.
Yeah, a good bit of lost mining time as well. Nice disruption there. Keeps the Banshees alive for future use. Marine tank is out. Stim 1-1, going on up to 5 barracks in the near future. And gentleman's agreement so far between the 2 players, both of them wanting to progress to the 3 to 4 base macro stage.
Yeah. You know, I was like looking at the stim timing, and like when I said it's later than some other builds we have, and she's actually skirting around the Spore Crawler, going to get a lot more drones. But it's actually a lot later. You know, we have a ton of builds that still have around like even 6:30, yeah, sometimes 6 minutes, but like 6:30 stim drops, or even 7:30 maybe at the latest. This is going to be maybe if he goes directly over at 7:30, but you know what? He's going to have a lot of tanks.
Yeah.
For either a direct push immediately or very much like following those medevac drops.
And you know what? A few Hellions are still alive. Very good for staying behind the tanks when the Lings get on them, trying to roast them up. And you know, it's weird piecing this together, right? Because you're looking at it and you're saying, when's the Terran going to attack? When's he going to start pressuring? And it's been very light up to this point. And we're just waiting to see when that hammer will drop. Does it explode into a very specific timing attack? Or is this really the sitting back, leaning back and going to the late stages that it appears to be? Because up to now, it's been light pressure, a very conservative play for SpeCial, just building on up. So far, we see medevac Marine pressure. This is the most safe, conservative kind of creep-clearing squad. It's not really an actual attack. It's just a poke.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he's delaying until combat shields to actually do a push, that would make sense. But if he was really going to play that safe macro-based style, going to have to pick up here, I would have expected a 4th CC, like really, really fast, but he did add on those 3 extra barracks. So I'm still expecting a push. Nice grab on a tank. It's worth a handful of Lings. And he's also making sure to keep scouting on whether or not SpeCial has that follow-up. It's just the drop still.
Oh, no. Not watching. Ouch.
His microing Banshees certainly not worth. As the Banshees, I mean, they're pretty much done. Maybe they get a couple drones. Maybe they pulled Reynor aside and then the drop did something, but it was the opposite effect. The drop wasn't paid attention to.
And that hive is now on the way here for Reynor. 80 worker economy creep getting out to the bridges and even beyond those in the center of this map. The right-hand side of the map has not really had as much creep spread focus, but because Reynor's gone so hard through the middle, he might just end up swamping into that corner of the map anyway, simply by holding the area in front of it. And with Zergling, Baneling kind of running around the edges, I actually really like the map control setup here for Reynor. He's just got to be careful. He can't go too deep with these Ling Bane attacks. SpeCial will be watching.
Yeah, he's got another attack off of the right side. It's going to catch a few Lings and, well, more Banelings too. Oh, down his focus fire, grabbing 3 or 4 it was. And he's still continuing on with the drops. It is just the drop phase too. Like, we're still waiting on that push. It is actually very, like, this, like, not the type of game I expected. Is, again, like, if it was going to be super macro based, I would have expected at least a 9-minute 4th CC, but nope, still waiting on that one. The drops are keeping tabs on Reynor, who, by the way, is already up to Hive. The upgrades are actually even, but that Hive is not straight into Ultras.
Yeah.
Going for a Spire and a Greater Spire.
Yeah, Adrenal Glands is the only thing that starts up straight away. Reynor has been sacrificing small numbers of Zerglings to keep the creep spread solid. He's basically saying, I'm okay to just let you pick off a few Lings and Banes as long as you're not getting my creep tumors. Only now is that drop on the left clearing up some creep And we've got the big push down the right-hand side. Now, there was a delay on the armory, an uncharacteristic mistake from SpeCial. Because of that, his 2-2 is still about 90 seconds away. And that's a big problem because he wants to force a fight now.
Yeah, I think that is actually a huge problem. This is the reason he was doing his build. This is what he was ultimately looking for. To have that 2-2 late is a big problem. He is clearing up that creep spread. He will be able to deny mining on that 5th base. Now, getting across the bridge to the 4th, that's always the trick, and also kind of vice versa. But Reynor could also get us around here. If SpeCial were to go towards that 4th, he's not going to go for this round. I think that's the only option, right? You can't actually go back into the tanks like this.
Oh, no, and that double drop at the same time, bouncing into his 3rd base. He's going to try to swing in on this, but those tanks up against the side of the bridge, and there is not enough Ling Bane. The Marauders tanking so much, the tanks do not fall. 4 siege tanks standing strong at the end of that.
That was a very clumsy handling of that push. Reynor, I guess, distracted by the drop, which is still going on, by the way. I think this actually it might just be game with the failure to clean up the push. He's also lost 20 drones, going to lose evolution chambers. He might eventually clean up the tanks, but the supply is looking pretty bad, and Reynor's Hail Mary Greater Spire has only just started.
Yeah, this is a bit sloppy here from Reynor with that handling, as you said, and that was only part of SpeCial's army. He's still got the drop alive. A new army is moving across the map and sieging up. Reynor not having the material to deal with this. Does not have anything except Zergling, Baneling, Queen right now, and he's very low on those numbers.
Yeah, this is, I feel like it's just a little, it's going to be too much. We are also on the shorter map here. SpeCial does have a 4th TC behind this, ready to expand, ready to continue on in case suddenly, 8 Ultras pops, which of course we know is not on the way. Just an attempt to get to Broodlords, but Broodlords are going to be slow, so as soon as SpeCial realizes, oh, that's your play, that's you're going to come back, I'm just going to beat bop around, or actually have enough anti-air. He's got 2 more starports on the way, so that's also a very real possibility.
Oh, the double lib mixed in with the push on the 4th, a new army moving out, this drop being annoying, and this is one of those things which Reynor, he's had bad experiences with Liberators and Marines hitting every base at once. Echoes of that match versus Fantasy here for Reynor, just getting picked apart from every angle.
Yeah, that's right. He did have a pretty devastating loss against someone that, Fantasy was not expected to win that. But, it's always explained as like, well, Reynor doesn't do well in the mixed events with the Koreans, right? But he always dominates these ones, and, well, top 4 is still pretty darn good. But he is showing the same weaknesses. And SpeCial is going to not exactly coast through this game, but he certainly should feel comfortable, aside from this creep spread, which he did actually not quite clean up there. So that's the only, kind of annoying thing for him here. But even this run by not going to do anything.
Well, I mean, the creep spread lacking in front of those bridges on the right-hand side, I actually think was a big part of Reynor's issue in this game. Unable to stop that first tank push from sieging up. Their creep through the middle would have been great. But right now, he's just struggling to get a 4th base up. And we've talked about the 4th base on this map. He's now opting for the one in the south, but it's so exposed. It's so far away from where he's been spreading his creep. And because of that, it's just very difficult to defend and hang on.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess if SpeCial, literally just looks at Broodlords and goes like, oh, I can't deal with that, let me just do nothing. Then I guess there's a chance here that he gets that 4th base up and running. But certainly some drops should initiate if he doesn't already feel like he has enough Vikings, which he will very soon. 5 Vikings at a time. And that, I mean, you don't want to go for Vikings if you can avoid it, because, if you're facing Broodlords, it's usually Infestors, Vipers, Queens, what have you. But this is that rare situation where actually he's just going to have enough Vikings, and he won't even have to necessarily even spread them that much. He can just, tackle what Reynor has.
As long as you've got momentum, the 3 starport transition is solid in all situations because you can go for those Liberators en masse, very good anti-ultra, very good harassment. You can add the range libs as well, but you can also just do this and say, hey, quickly pump out 10 Vikings. It's kind of a middle of the ground, early beginnings of a response to Broodlords. As you said, doesn't hold up when the supporting units get there, but Reynor has very little support for those Broodlords in this game.
Yeah, I mean, so far, SpeCial is just sticking with the just 1 push at a time, so Reynor, I mean, well, he temporarily got the left base, but that 1 push is heading there, and I don't think Reynor's going to be able to save it, but he is expanding off to the right side. There is a drop at the 3rd that's getting cleaned up as well. The Vikings facing the Corruptors without much support, but hey, actually, it's going to be enough. The Vikings pushing this back alongside the ground army. There's nothing on the ground besides Queens, and the Broodlings being shot out. Here comes the rest of Reynor's army. A flood of Lings trying to save the day. The Banelings roll in as well, whatever creep is left. And it's actually quite a clumsy initial attack there. The Banelings actually crash in as SpeCial didn't quite bread fast enough.
Yeah, and his Marines were like double or triple stimmed. There wasn't like a crazy medevac count. I think he's getting so much control over this game. SpeCial just took a sloppy engagement there, got ahead of himself, didn't realize there was a massive Ling Bane that Reynor had kept way back in reserve. And the moment you've got overstimmed Marines deep on creep with Ling Bane jumping on top of them, it's a bit of a hard one. Nonetheless, though, 5 base Terran versus a 3.5 base Zerg here. Reynor's main and natural getting very low on minerals and unable to really secure a 5th base. He's going to go for the center one. He's adding Vipers. He's adding on these pieces of tech that he'd like to have here, but still no Infestors, not a great Ling Bane count, and no sign of 3/3 upgrades. He just doesn't have the cash for it.
Yeah, definitely going to be a problem as +3 armor finally finishing as well for SpeCial. He's going to once again engage over this bridge, finding the Broodlords with limited anti-air coverage. Just a few Corruptors plus whatever Queens for the transfuses. The Baneling's getting some decent connections. So run, Marines. But just the first few, and they will live. Reynor, do you have anything else on the ground? A Ling run by is where I guess the rest of the ground army was.
That's his trademark move there. We are going to see a stim forward here, but those Queens going to do very well versus the Vikings. Transfuse all over the Broodlords. And yet again, another bit of a crazy engagement from SpeCial there. Thinking he could maybe just kind of push through, but Transfuse is pretty damn good.
I mean, Pig, it's just, Broodlords and not even that many of them, plus Queens. Like, I win against that, right? I mean, you're kind of supposed to if you have a lot more, but those Queens transfusing even the last couple of Corruptors to help against the Vikings, and then just not really enough bio on the ground, but that's a lot because SpeCial had so much back at home dealing with the run by, and just that's where he's reinforcing, right? So the game's definitely not over, but Reynor, I mean, he's gotten 2 surprisingly good engagements, right? Like, SpeCial's been a little too eager, I suppose, to end the game, but he'll be maxed out in this next fight. Very close to it, at least.
Gotta watch out for parasitic bombs here. The Vipers come forward. One parasitic bomb lands in the middle. Is hitting those medevacs quite a bit. The Marines are going to stim forward, but Baneling Cocoons are almost ready. Zing. Oh, Zergling run by is in the 3rd base at the same time. Reynor hanging on here. It feels like he wasn't warmed up at the start of this game, but now he's had a chance to get in his rhythm, and he's hanging on. I mean, I don't think his chances are particularly high, but we are actually seeing him inch closer and closer back towards parity.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of on the side of like, okay, this game might actually go on for a little while longer because Reynor was able to save 2 bases with that defense, whereas before he lost a base, right, or wasn't mining from these bases quite yet. He's finally mining, and of course he's kept his Broodlords alive, and these energy-based units, in this case the Queens, for the most part, are really working here in this low economy situation. More Liberator harassment, however, and just always that threat of drop, something that Reynor's going to have struggles at dealing with. But Infestor parasitic bomb combination is absolutely perfect.
Oh, the big combo, and the Vikings just get slaughtered. Oh, that's a disaster for SpeCial's anti-air, but he is dropping. He's starting to get those run-bys, those drops going in. The Liberator harassment being annoying as well. This is where he's going to make it hard for Reynor to cover all the bases. Right now, Reynor is focused on that one core of units, the Broodlords and Queens. It's very immobile, and it's the drops that are going to pick him apart.
Yeah, exactly. So that should be happening soon, but the main fights are going in Reynor's favor, even jumping on top of this little Marine squad. No fungals, unfortunately. It means the Banelings can't actually be focused down, and that's exactly what happens. Even though the medevac's healing them, the drop in the main base could target that greater Spire, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Some Lings are responding, but it looks like not enough. There we go. He's got to save it, and he will, at least temporarily. Nope, there goes the medevac.
Yep, the Jellyfish there happily do save the Greater Spire. The Corruptors are always effective at shutting down those drops once they get cornered, but for now, it's this base, and you've got to hang on to it as Reynor. Right now, you've got a few Broodlords, Corruptors, Queens. The Ling Bane's going to go in. He's going to dive forward. Does he have the numbers?
I don't know if he does. The Broodlords are surviving as the Vikings tackle the Corruptor, but nothing else on the ground. There's too good of a concave. The Banelings weren't enough. There's nothing to hold the Marines in place either. Dock of the Fungals, and he is pushing forward to the remnants of the Marines.
Banelings come forward now. A Fungal landing. A lot of the Marines are being cleared, but another big squad comes from the left. A Fungal. Ooh, shuts them down. And Broodlords still overhead, but there's not a lot of Corruptors left. The Marines have focused down almost every single Corruptor.
Yeah, the Liberator's still alive too. I mean, there's not much else that he can do. Oh, well, Infestaterrans will probably be the best option with the limited amount of units coming here from SpeCial. A few more reinforcements might just cut it as Reynor is struggling to get any of his reinforcements. I'd hate to see a drone pool, but that actually might be his only option to protect his Broodlords from the Marines on the ground. Now those Infestors are completely out of energy.
Reynor hanging on for dear life here, showing why he is the reigning WCS champion. He is hanging on with far inferior units, worse upgrades, and a terrible situation. But as this happens, it seems that the Marines are pushing their way through. Only 2 Broodlords left standing. And that is a game-winning situation if you can get rid of this base. The fight seems to just never end. The medevac healing the Broodlords, the reinforcements coming in, but finally he might have done it.
I think that's got to be it, right? There's nothing else except these infestors without any energy. And Reynor, I mean, you said it absolutely correct. It felt like he was just warming up for the first 12 minutes or so, and then he was like, let me just go ahead and try and win. It's not going to be quite enough, however, as that was just too devastating of a loss earlier to that mid-game push. But dang, I sat in my chair. I was like, well, I guess Reynor's done. And then we have like 10 more minutes of a game.
Yeah, you often don't see anyone able to hang on against SpeCial when they're that down on the unit numbers, but we saw SpeCial just get a little bit overeager once or twice. For the most part, though, clean and clinical. I mean, that first tank push was just extraordinary. The setup on the bridge with those 4 siege tanks, oh my God, Ling Bane not very good at clearing that.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult to do with Ling Bailing for sure, but it was also an awkward hold or attempted hold from Reynor, right? Because I was like, well, he's gonna get a surround. It seems like he was had the potential to do that. He wasn't exactly prepped for the fight, but he had a decent amount of units and it was on the high ground, and then he saw the push, reacted first by moving to respond to it with just 1 angle, and that's never gonna work, right? And then he realizes I can't do that. Pulls down a second angle, but it's a Banelings. And Banelings are so slow, they won't match up to actually get that sandwich, and they're the easiest thing for those tanks to focus fire down. It's the Lings coming from behind that always complicate the matter. So I guess it was probably because it was kind of like, oh no, the army's already here. The last second, decision making that kind of screwed over what he's usually very good at. Reynor's usually very good at taking those surrounds.
One of his specialties is his ability to surround and flank his opponent's armies, to backstab and avoid the frontal fight when it is the correct decision. But that time, caught off guard. In game 1, it is a best-of-5 series. The first 1 to 3 wins. And of course, the winner does go through to the grand finals to face the winner of that Neeb-Serral match. And getting that final WCS championship of the year would be a big one. All of these players have already locked themselves in for their spots in the WCS Global Playoffs, but they want this championship, they want that cash prize, and they definitely want the notoriety.
Absolutely. World of Sleepers. Ooh, I got something to say about this. In the bottom left, up 1, it is the Blue Terran SpeCial.
And up here in the top right-hand side, in the red, give it up for Reynor.
So this is specifically the map that I brought up to SpeCial when I was talking to him over in Korea. I was like, yeah, I just, I'm really, I don't want to, balance talk or anything, but I really, a command center first, wow. I don't really understand how you're supposed to push as Terran on these new maps, right? Because they're still pretty darn new. This was even like 2 weeks ago. And SpeCial's like, well, you can't. Like the typical programmer, like 100% response. But he was like, no, you gotta go mech on World of Sleepers, especially because the push is just like, it's too difficult to do. It's not necessarily the size of the map. World of Sleepers is, it's really not that bad compared to some of the other maps we have. But the way that you're able to expand and push just isn't actually that convenient for the Terran player, There's a lot of run-by paths, a lot of open areas when you do get in the middle, and you expand away from the push, which is not really what you want as a Terran.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating on these maps. I really want to see some back and forth, movement-focused games. And if SpeCial does still have that view, no doubt we'll be going for the battle mech sort of style. We've seen him using those battle cruisers, those Cyclones, those Hellions very well. One of the mainstays, staple styles of the Terran arsenal at the moment. And off the command center first, of course, your tech is a little bit delayed, but not that much, really. I mean, the factory ends up going down similar to a normal barracks first. You can still get into your Hellions. You just, of course, are very exposed to some of the old school all-ins like One Base Ravager, an early pool, a pool first Zerglings. But those are really far out of the meta right now, so I like this choice here.
I absolutely love this choice. And even as far as like the earlier mid-game pushes, I'm just like, is World of Sleepers really one, the map that you want to do that on? So And by that time, too, like, it might be the initial earlier attacks that hurt a CC first. It actually does okay as you get into the mid game, but it's something even more special than just a CC first into a typical macro game. We have 2 factories. Did he not bring out double fact Blue Flame Hellions earlier in this tournament? Was that him?
I can't quite remember. I do remember seeing someone diving Blue Flame Hellions into a mineral line, and it actually did quite a few workers of damage. I mean, this is also one which explodes into the Cyclone production earlier than any other build because you got that tech lab so early. So I love the flexibility of it and just the way the pressure amps up. It doesn't give your opponent a lot of room to respond. What has Rotterdam and everyone else here been talking about on the desk? It's like, can Reynor adjust to the mech? Can he adjust to the Blue Flame Hellions and that sort of stuff? Let's hope he doesn't try to do his Lingbane Muta challenge again, because if you're up against 2 factory Hellion, like, no way is that working.
I feel like Reynor has something like, just like, I gotta prove that it works. You know, I know it works, I gotta prove that it works. Because he also went that quick Hydra Lurker thing in Challenger in TvZ, despite everyone being like, no, stop it. So I'm with you, though. I hope he doesn't do it here. The Overlord is not going to get that full scout as 2 Marines make it a little shy. It's really hard to fully stop an Overlord's speed, though. Even with 2 Marines catching it immediately, you can always hit a second one, which is exactly what he does. So he's going to get in there and I think barely see the starport and definitely see that second factory.
Yep, starport tucked away in the back. Second factory upgrading. Immediately you go, whoa, okay. I would not be surprised to see an instant Roach Warren from Reynor. Second Overlord comes in. He's definitely seen both factories. All right, took a few seconds, but he did go for it. I was about to say, if you don't drop a Roach Warren against this, you're just a madman. There's just no other way around it. You've got to go Roaches against this many Blue Flame Hellions. They're so good against light units.
Yeah, the trick is, though, is that, especially because you're not going to have Roach speed that quick, is still catching them. You know, if you have 6 Roaches, they target 1 Hellion, they kill that, great, but there's still 4 Hellions running by, you're still going to be in a little bit of trouble. This is going to include an armory. We do have the medevac for initially a drop, but maybe later if he sees an opportunity for Hellbats. I don't think he's hitting that timing, though. This is more just about the drop and the potential run-bys of the Hellions and their speediness. And there is the drop being set up right now. I believe it managed to avoid the Overlords because nothing is responding in the main base. Reynor, totally unaware of this unloading right in that main.
No.
Oh, no.
That same hole in the vision is what got him against Fantasy multiple times. Not having an Overlord on the edge of the main. Oh, Reynor getting taken advantage of. These Blue Flame Aliens coming in. Great drone splits so far.
Yeah,
that could have been a lot worse.
Well, more Hellions are headed towards that third base, but they're not going to try and dive. Lings, I was wondering where the rest of his Lings were. They actually catch the CC. I don't think that was too far along, but it was a little bold of SpeCial to take the third CC there without any protection. Yeah, round 2.
Wow, not a lot of units in position there, and another couple of workers do get wounded, only 1 falling. SpeCial coming in with more Hellions from both sides. Tanks on the way as well as Banshees behind this. And these Hellions are not quite finding a way in there.
Yeah, that makes more sense for them to disengage from that. There was a lot of Queens and a decent number of Roaches. Medevac barely survived, saving that 1 Hellbat. You get to live, buddy. The Medevac might want to go home and repair. I'd love to see more Hellion drops just as another option to get that harassment done while SpeCial tries to macro. He did cancel that third CC and then immediately rebuilt it on the high ground so it's nice and safe. And we are transitioning into, of course, mech with the 2 factories. You got to go there. But even the bit of a faster +1. We see with those double armories, 3 CC builds. He's got to work with what he's got. The opening, I mean, what would you say about this opening? Actually, I don't think it did that much damage.
No, not really. I mean, it got a little bit of momentum, but not as much as we were thinking. And I was definitely expecting a follow-up of Cyclones to be added in here, which obviously does well versus the Roaches. But SpeCial worried about the backstab kind of counter-attack of big Roaches. These Hellions are in a corner, zombie grub.
Yes, they are. There's no escape. The minerals have not been mined out for Reynor.
Oh.
And that is going to be almost every single Hellion dead.
That's really bad.
Yeah. Oh, well, Spore Crawler not in the main base. The Banshee was a bit of a surprise, and Overseer quite created. 2 are on the way. Then you also want the Queens to find them. There we go. Okay, well, the Queens definitely found her. Run, Banshee. And that is 4 more drones dead. But Reynor is going to now use that army he was been building up for quite some time. Only 57 workers, partially because he was losing them, but he also just has a big army.
Uh-oh, and he doesn't see the attack coming. He's got to siege those tanks. Get back in there. Not out there. No, SpeCial.
Oh, no.
No.
That's a good concave of Roaches. Here come the Ravagers as well in case the tanks thought they could survive. It's not going to happen. Reynor way up in supply now, almost doubling. The Banshee might eventually save the day, but it's going to take so long. SpeCial's taking way too much damage, and that is a tap out from him. Reynor ties up the series 1-1. He was not fazed whatsoever by those Blue Flame Hellions.
All right, what an amazing way to start off this series. Two very harsh games from either player, back and forth. Can't wait to find out where this series goes, guys. We'll be right back in just a minute after a short break.
Welcome back. It's tied up 1-1 as Reynor just does not get phased by a Blue Flame Hellion opener that was scouted, except for where the Blue Flame Hellions were. But even that was responded to very, very smoothly. And he has yet to worry about that very fearsome late game mech, but I'm sure the next potentially 3 maps that we have in this best of 5, I'm sure we'll be seeing some of that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how Reynor wants all of his Zerg versus mech games to go. Is like, I want to run the roaches across the map, take out a couple of tanks, and win the game right there. He's like, I don't really want it to go too much further.
Yeah.
That was the dream scenario. Great defense by him, and a very out there build by SpeCial on World of Sleepers.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's always nice to see that comeback, and there's also that chance that they do mistake it for like a direct Hellion Cyclone push. But yeah, it didn't really work out as well as SpeCial was hoping for. But I'm sure he has a lot of other options, a lot of other tricks up his sleeve. In the bottom right on, yes, Disco Bloodbath as the blue Terran. It is SpeCial.
And up here in the top left-hand side of Disco Bloodbath, playing Zerg and striking back to equalize the series. In the red, in the top left, it is Reynor.
Ooh, that was smooth. I knew when the camera was going to get on him. You know, we were talking about Reynor warming up in that first game after minute 9, and then he just demolishes game number 2. Is he now warmed up? It's going to be a 3-1.
Oh, we're going to have to see about that. I mean, there's a lot of people out there spamming some Doritos, so you can never count out SpeCial.
I don't know, man. Dorito for Juanito or Stallion for Italian?
The Dorito always wins. Any spam, even the Feral for Cyril, cannot compete with the Dorito for Juanito.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Stallion, guys. Which, you know, can we bring up that bar again, the voting bar? There's like hashtag Stallion, hashtag Dorito. No? No, can't do that? All right.
I do love this map. Some of the details on these maps are fantastic. We're taking a look at some of the dancing little bear people on this map earlier in the series, and I'm sure we'll get a shot of that as the scouts go past and we see them. But it is a cool map. It's got these kind of weird, bright, shiny areas all over it. But generally speaking, it's kind of interesting because your main base is actually got a big exposed edge, which means things like Liberators and drops in that main very powerful. We've even seen some Terran players kind of do the thing where they add 2 Liberators, do the double drop with the 2 Liberators in the main base because that edge is so exposed. We saw, of course, SpeCial in his previous series pulling out Ravens against Stefano and bouncing around the edges, dropping those auto turrets. So lots of cool styles to kind of take advantage of the increased airspace and the many angles of attack on the mineral line from the sky.
Yeah, so it makes that, you know, the whole idea that this is the biggest map we now have, it means that it's, you know, yeah, I can't really rally push maybe, but then I have these other options. I have abusive spots to put tanks, Liberators, and I also have, because it is a large map, I have the option of hopefully catching you on the right side and dropping you to the left, and vice versa. There's also, of course, the option of that mech, as we were discussing. Like, it could happen, it should happen, some later game mech in this series, but not if Reynor has anything to say about it and just kills him every single time. There is a third CC very quickly on the way for SpeCial, so he's looking into that macro game. Reynor will eventually be able to scout that, but I think he's been very good about having 2 Overlords on this side of the map. So there was like the time where there's only 1, and then even some people like wouldn't even put any over there, like Solar wouldn't. But he's been 2 and Pneumatized Carapace. He's not getting surprised.
This is a very odd opening from SpeCial. I think it might be a 6 Marine, 1 Widowmine drop as the factory is doing nothing and the barracks is still in the reactor right now. As I say that, he's just swapped it off camera. Never mind. Took a while though. That factory was actually floating there for about 25 seconds or so. So just kind of swapped that over. He's got some Hellions on the way now. Good little Marine count to deny scouting and a Viking as well. I say deny scouting. Everything's been seen up to now. But if you want to keep scouting from here, the Viking and the Marines will put an end to that.
Yeah, the Viking does guarantee the Overlord kill, even though it, like, you know, it starts, stops. So it'll happen eventually, but that is the thing. It's like eventually, and Reynor's just going to go ahead and continue scouting around. Fusion Core is being built in the back of that natural, which has yet to be re-scouted. But Reynor has seen nothing aside from just a typical 1-1-1 with a 3CC. I think he wants to get back in there and at least check the tech lab on the starport. He really has not gotten the full picture quite yet, and it'd be a shame if he thought that he did. He thought that it was just going to be that stim on the tech lab, barracks or what. But first Overlord goes down, second Overlord headed back into the main base. We'll see the tech lab not researching anything. Okay, he's going to fake cloak.
Yeah,
yes,
does
he
fake
is.
that.
Okay. And of course, SpeCial already showed a Banshee build, so it very well could be Banshees.
Lair and Roach Warren are on the way, though. Definitely does feel like it's mech, and having Queens up and Spores will be quite reasonably well prepared against this. It's not like Reynor's just going to not have any answer to the battle cruiser. Just isn't quite 100% aware of where to position his units. And I guess, okay, there we go. Extra Spore Crawler does go down in the natural as well. Armory comes down as well. Looks like we might see some Hellbats with this.
Yeah, the Roach Warren will be down in plenty of time to get a couple just like safety roaches, which I hope he does. He put them in the third base, and then the Battlecruiser hits the main. That's at least like the typical thing, but certainly they can appear vice versa. The teleporting can appear anywhere. Queens are going to take care of the Hellions initially. I don't want to let an Overlord die, or he's already lost 2, and he's actually even a little bit supply blocked.
Oh, that Marine kind of walking across the map, those 3 Marines, and showing themselves. It really feels like SpeCial wants to do something a bit committed here. Otherwise, why would those Marines be on this side of the map? A scan goes down, but so many creep tumors doesn't quite get them all. And he's not quite ready for the Hellbat morph and the battle cruiser yet, but the Queens have been lured out. He might just teleport on top of this.
Yes, he does. I think maybe Reynor is thinking like, hey, have those Banshees supposed to appear yet? And then suddenly, bam, battle cruiser in the main base. Spore Crawler does get repositioned. Second Queen comes up to help, but they can really not do a whole lot. And this is so far an okay opening, but only a couple of drones going down. The Hellions have not gotten back in successfully. I mean, maybe they'll get 2 Queens as well. Should. There we go.
Yeah, nicely done, nicely done. And the battlecruiser is still healthy, which is important. It means it can still bounce around, pick off overlords, push back the vision, nip off a creep tumor or 2.
There it is. There's those Hellions. That's what I was looking for.
Where are the roaches?
I don't think he made them. The Lings will temporarily pause the drones from losing their lives, but he did make them. They went across the map.
They're going to do something, but Hellions kill drones a lot faster. But you know what? The Zergling's doing a good job so far. Still 4 Hellions left, though. That's a dangerous number. Roaches trickling out. Is it going to be just enough? 6 workers going down, a few more going to fall. Misclick on the Evo chamber, and that's just 7 workers. Meanwhile, the roaches causing a lot of lost mining time and a handful of workers on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, these roaches ended up being so bad. They weren't enough to really force a teleport. I think, SpeCial already figured he had enough done. The battlecruiser was supposed to come home anyways, but 7 workers for 7 workers. All right, and everyone keeps their more important units alive. Those 4 roaches, not really that expensive. 4 bases, 66 workers. The addition of the Baneling Nest. We do have double attack upgrades on the ground here. So I kind of anticipate the Carapace on the air. It's what the combination we've been seeing, unless they're doing one of those mid-game attacks, and then it's the reverse. Another open mineral line. Even more open this time.
Yeah, I mean, only 2 Hellions without Blue Flame aren't going to be able to one-shot the workers. But lots of them heavily bruised there. More mining time, and both players' economy locked dead even right now. Reynor is jumping up above 70 workers. I think he's wanting to play the big old late game 85 drone economy. Zerg versus Mech. If you see them go for the timing attack with the Corruptors, it's usually much more off about 66, 70 workers. Very rare you're going to try and go 85 workers, then make Corruptors and Ravagers and go. So I think Reynor is going to try and eke this one out with backstabs, expanding. No doubt we'll add some Infestors later on in this game as well.
Yeah, maybe trying to catch if those were Cyclones. They're on the map and they wouldn't be at the 3rd, but those are tanks. Very well defended behind a wall. 6 Queens tangoing here is not so bad. They do have a lot of transfuse as well. That 1 Queen not getting transfused at the last second does go down.
Oh, that's a 3rd BC.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Corruptors aren't here yet. 3 BCs are scary. They don't care about the Spore Crawlers. They can actually dive in and focus fire these Queens. They've all got tactical jump ready. So as soon as they get low on hit points, they can just get on out of there. Time to get out. Nice play there by SpeCial. And these 2 other BCs going to dive a bit deeper as well. Corruptors starting to come out now. So it looks like it is the end of their journey.
Oop, there we go.
Really does wait to the last second, doesn't he?
Yeah, that second one was a little concerning. Okay. There's the follow-up of the...
he gets one!
Oh my God!
He gets one!
What?
Oh my God, you daredevil!
Did he plan that? Did he actually mean to do that? Or was that just like...
Evil Knievel the Corruptor right there. That was crazy. He did not care at all. He was like, yeah, I'll dive in here, pick off the red hit point BC and run away. A lovely maneuver there by Reynor.
What?
Oh, and he's going to go for the factory there. Going to try and get rid of the one that's upgrading.
Oh, he's going to get it.
Big Caustic Spray.
Yeah, I mean, Caustic Spray, when it's this far gone, you can actually get it, but he's not going to endanger all of those Corruptors. Yeah.
That's such a dangerous move, but... only loses 1 Corruptor, the rest are just bruised. So, you know what? I think that's kind of okay. You can't risk that again, though. Now this Cyclone's out, you're just going to lose them all if you try that one more time.
Exactly. You got to follow up with some Cyclones eventually to deal with those Corruptors. Missile turrets don't really, cut it. But if he had gone for the Tech Lab, he would have delayed the upgrade for the Cyclones. And I think that would have been a snipe, but, oh well. That did look awfully tempting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Normally you go for the add-on, but if you get the main structure, it can't keep upgrading, so does end up getting it. But 3 BCs, 4th one on the way. Armor plating plus 2 vehicle weapons. No ship weapon upgrades, of course. SpeCial knows that the Mass Roach Ravager of Reynor is so scary, and that's why he's playing a mostly traditional mech style. It's been the BC opening, but then it's lots of tanks behind it. Comes in, 3 Corruptors, teleports out. And I mean, the Corruptor really is the perfect unit to take out with that ability. Slow Baneling's coming in. A crazy, wild attack here from Reynor. Takes out a few exposed tanks up front.
I don't think he realized the depth of the army, so he saw the tanks unsieged and was like, yeah, okay, I can grab that, but there was actually like 4 tanks behind it, so... it looked a little weird, but we are on that stage where they're both starting to bank. There haven't been really huge engagements quite yet. So especially losing these units, a couple at a time, not such a big deal. We're going to be talking about even infestors as the time goes on, but Reynor is going to get maxed once again with Ling, Baneling, Roach, Ravager, Corruptor with some decent upgrades. But yeah, that Centrifugal Hooks was quite late.
Yeah, Baneling's normally very important for running over this. Ooh, nice lock-ons on the Corruptors, but an incredible Zergling surround, and goodbye, Cyclone Hellion. Ooh, very fragile army just gets crushed.
Yeah, that was the entire, well, almost the entire army. They're certainly the one that he was planning on delaying the creep spread with. Of course, he's got the tanks defensively, so a counter or a continued attack there from Reynor wouldn't have done too much, but that was a really, really nice grab in the middle of the map. More creep spread being taken down by the battlecruisers. Until he sees an infestor, he can be kind of, bold with them, and he is scanning technically ahead to even clean up the creep tumors if there were already burrowed infestors. But the army has managed to, I think, just gone unseen as it runs across the map to that 5th base. SpeCial not gonna be able to respond. That's gonna go down.
Yeah, the Corruptors are on top. Oh, a Hellbat counter at the same time could be lovely. The base does get sniped. One of the BCs has had to teleport, and the other ones do go out as well. But lots of work is falling there. And that's a good tit-for-tat trade. I think the only problem here for SpeCial is where do you expand? And it looks like he's decided to expand down along to the bottom left, but he's got to get a move on with securing those bases. Reynor does have a big 88 worker supply, and I think DeMuslim might have been telling the truth about that story. I think we've seen 1 infestor build zombie grub. I don't know if Reynor's actually going to be building any more than it's 1. Yeah. No Vipers, just 1 infestor. So not a lot of spellcasters. This is a very low-cost army. It's amazing if you can keep pulling off these surrounds. But as the battlecruiser count grows, they're just going to keep Yamatoing Corruptors. It's a really frightening prospect if you don't grow that infestor count.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're able to take down that army and then also bust through like the 4th base, for instance, which is still very important. They're going to just replace that army with battlecruisers slowly but surely, and then suddenly you have just Corruptors that are okay upgraded against the mass battlecruisers, and that's when you really get scary. That's when you actually need the option of spellcasters, and so far Reynor not able to bust forward into the 4th base, just to still delaying the 5th, sure, and that is good, as you will want that 5th up if you're going to continue replacing this army 3 battlecruisers at a time.
Yeah, right now triple battlecruiser production is insane. It's really getting to that count where it's just so scary. I think there's multiple problems when the BCs hit this count. One is, okay, he's going to come in. Only 1 tank here, actually. A nice angle, lots of depots, lots of good pickoffs there. Very nice. Nice little push.
This is going to supply block him if he actually needed those depots, but he didn't. That was just for a wall. Look, he's still totally maxed out in 200.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of slide depots. Battlecruisers do take out a hatchery to the left, but no drones. He's got problems back at home. A Roach Ravager infestation. Battlecruiser goes down to Corrosive Bile. It's not supposed to happen, but the layer of tanks is a little too good, so he's just going to take down the base and skedaddle, I suppose. Battlecruiser's not jumping back home because they can't.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough Corruptors to just one-shot these yet. And because of that, look at that. It's like, hey, goodbye 7 Corruptors and I'll leave. Whoa. Nice! Oh, the Corrosive Bile's taking down multiple BCs in this game. Very cool from Reynor. But in the long term, not going to be reliable. That being said, look at SpeCial's economy. It's not that big. Like, he hasn't been able to get out to these bases. Don't get me wrong, he's still almost maxed. His army's still good. But it gives me hope for Reynor's style if he can keep him off either the 3rd or the 5th base. If he can keep hitting at least one of those, maybe split the Terran army up a little, he might be able to do this.
I think I'm with you just because the Corruptor count is so big, and I don't know if the Cyclones have been remaining. He's been making tanks because of the Roach Ravager, so the Corruptor's going to top of the battlecruisers, but I mean, even as well upgraded as they are.
Where are the turrets? Where are the turrets? Where are the Cyclones and the mines?
He stopped replacing them, I believe. Just went for the tanks, and that is the fatal mistake Reynor was waiting for. He also busts the STVs. The 5th base, the 4th base could shortly follow. At least the orbitals there. All the battlecruisers have died, and that's exactly what Reynor wanted to have happen.
Oh, only 1 Cyclone on the ground. An inexcusable mistake there from SpeCial. And another big high-cost structure going down to Corrosive Bile. I thought SpeCial's defense was so good in this game, but I mean, this is Reynor's specialty. It's hitting from multiple angles. It's darting in and out, creating a little bit of chaos. He has this flavor, this special style of Zerg play, which very few players can execute to this level. And that's why I absolutely love watching him. I look at it and I say, I have no idea how this style is going to work, and then he makes it work.
Yeah, I really thought the +3 was down on the Corruptors, but I think that was one that was sniped. So the Redbirds are okay. I should fix my earlier statement. But he's going to be working on that again soon as he's getting the Greater Spire. I think the Corruptor did get taken out there. Another attack of Ravager, Ling, Baneling, and this is that 4th base I was talking about. All these orbitals could be up for grabs. The Planetary might be a bit harder to crack, or at least it was when there was tanks around it, but it's now bare.
Oh, SCV's a little bit late to evac. At least a few of those will go down. The Corrosive Bile, Baneling, Planetary does fall. Instantly gets replaced by another one. And I think SpeCial realizing he's got to get a move on. He's got to get out there and secure another base. He's going to move an orbital down to the left. Going to try and get that 5th base up. His work account still healthy. His upgrades are looking very nice. And another battlecruiser run by going to move across this map.
There's a lot of Corruptors though, and now there's a fungal. That was very close. But Reynor is going to be able to respond to what is now a very, I mean, at 17 minutes, a pathetic number of battlecruisers. You know, we're back down to 3. That's going to be all right for this number of Corruptors. We're finally getting their upgrades, hopefully again soon.
That's a lot of Cyclones this time around. I mean, the BCs are still going down so quickly, though. Oh, my Lord. And this is the point where, more Cyclones come in, going to drop a scan to maintain that lock-on. And that was a big, costly trade for Reynor. But with his bank, I think he can afford to take it.
Yeah, that is the trick. But that was a lot more Corruptors than I think he wanted to actually go down for finding those weak battle cruisers. The Ravagers also going down here as the lock-ons are great when the Zerg player feels they need to retreat. Lings are coming in to help that army get the surround on the Cyclones so that he can actually attack into them. But that was a decent trade. SpeCial kind of slapping back. He even finds an Infestor. He's replaced his bases with orbitals, so they're not safe from run-bys, but they are mining.
Yeah, 72 workers to 93. 15 more Banelings coming in. A ton of Zerglings on the ground as well. A few Infestors in the mix. Broodlords are on the way, but they're not ready just yet. Reynor wants to get those Broodlords up, and that's devastating. No defense on those bases. As you said, Zombie Grub, not safe at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, Reynor still, even in these late game scenarios, definitely very good at run-bys. And that's, I think he also knew that the orbitals were being replaced, replacing the Planetary. So he's going to continue doing that with any leftover Lings. And that is going to also distract SpeCial, giving them time to get those Broodlords out. The Cyclones might be able to lock on and grab 1 or 2, but then the Fungals are shortly behind them. So SpeCial is going to evacuate, try and get some damage done here. But what about that main fight?
Oh no, a complete rout here. Reynor chasing the Terran forces home. The Fungal Bile combo doesn't quite land that time around. And since that is the only anti-air in this army, these battlecruisers is actually going to buy SpeCial a bit of time.
Broken Corruptors are now on the way, but that was a bit of an overextension with not enough anti-air. Another Ling, where actually the entire army just going for the 5th base, is going to find the Cyclones with a couple of Banelings. As Ravagers might lose their lives if the Lings can't get that surround, but I think SpeCial is trying to still jump on top of these Broodlords, so the Micro was not there on the Cyclones. He teleports them back to try and save the day, but even getting hit by more Corrosive Biles. Reynor at 170 supply to SpeCial's 100, taking him down to 4 bases yet again. Well, 3 actually, because he's mined out of his 4th.
Yeah, and the most important thing here for Reynor is the fact that he's kept the top right base alive, even if it's not mining much right now. And he's got the center one in the middle and the middle left as well. So because of that, yeah, that's the income right now. About 4 times as much income on the minerals for Reynor as SpeCial has. And with these Corruptors diving forwards, those battlecruisers have a hard time.
There's no mining. Yeah, there's no mining. Even zero at that for it. Then Reynor takes game number 3, not letting SpeCial get to that just critical mass of battlecruisers, and then finding SpeCial not replacing the Cyclones. That was a pretty critical mistake there.
You know, it felt like everything was going textbook for SpeCial, and we were kind of even scratching our head going, I mean, how do you break this without spellcasters? How do you get this engagement? But you know what? He'd hit that base before, created some movement, cleared the missile turrets out. He'd surrounded the Cyclone Hellion army twice on the map.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, SpeCial just not quite replacing those. We see that Corruptor's very good against battlecruisers when they don't have their tactical jump available. Yeah,
they're amazing against them. But that was, I mean, I guess Reynor noticed that. We had been focused on the growing battlecruiser count, what Reynor was doing, but then SpeCial, I think he was just responding to the Ravagers hitting his bases, so he's thinking tanks, 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 instead of actually adding in a couple of Cyclones here and there, because then we saw later in that game what happens when there are like 6 or 7 Cyclones. Suddenly you get the battlecruisers, but then you lose like 1,000 in corruption.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? We've seen it a few times where the Cyclones get those locks on the Corruptors, and you're like, oh, they're taking damage pretty fast. You're like, yeah, 12 Corruptors just disappeared. Like, okay, it's devastating. The mag field, of course, makes the full lock-on damage go up to 800 over 14 seconds. So it takes about 4 seconds to actually take out a Corruptor, 4 or 5 seconds. Not a lot of time at all, and definitely something which Reynor took advantage of in that game.
Game number 4 is going to be on Winter's Gate. Thanks, Reynor's cam. We are spawning on top of this man in the bottom right. He is down 1. He's on his last life in this round of 4, guys. So give him a huge cheer. It is the Blue Terran SpeCial.
And up here in the top left-hand side, representing Gamers Origin and starting to show a very unique style of dismantling that battle mech. Up here in the top left, the reigning WCS champion. Put your hands together for Reynor.
Big expectations from Reynor in this tournament, man. I think he's gonna go up to him. He's gonna be in those finals. I can feel it. I'm not supposed to be biased as a caster here, but he looks so darn good after the initial 8 minutes in that first game where he made a couple mistakes. He is warmed up. He's ready to go. He feels like he's in control. He feels like he knows exactly what he wants to do, and he's able to execute it.
That's one of the frustrating losses as well from SpeCial's end of things. That last one, I've lost many a game like that myself many years ago, and I've talked to SpeCial after he's lost maps like that, and he's always kind of a bit frustrated with himself if he's just forgotten the certain unit in his composition is, composition a little bit off, getting his battlecruisers caught out there. I actually think it would be a good idea to do the similar sort of style again. Just pull out that battle mech. It's looked good so far, but I feel like every player has their own unique perspective on how to take advantage of this map. Winter's Gate with the slow fields, just these crazy ledges, like especially if Reynor goes for the low ground 3rd or 4th base below his natural, there is an insane cliff down to the south above this this little red tower. Siege tanks up there have just been super deadly if they're able to get set up.
Yeah, so they don't actually hit the hatchery, but then we saw that you eventually have to take care of it. And if you try and take care of it when they're on that ledge, you're going up a ramp, and also like you're kind of choking in your army because they have to wrap around it.
Yeah.
It can be very effective for the Terran. But on the flip side, Winter's Gate, when we see the Terran players go for battle mechs, let's say that he does that again, instead of any bio pushers or tank pushes, we've been seeing a lot of those busts. The carapace for the roaches, the attack for the air, the attempt at busting. We've seen it successfully once, or actually twice, I guess now, with a couple other things we haven't cast. And then we also lost once as a couple of other awkward things happen. So if that is SpeCial's plan to go into the battle mech once again, try and take advantage, similar to last game, then I think he's going to be hyper aware of that potential. And of course, ditto for Reynor, he's going to have his eyes on what exactly SpeCial is doing with that Overlord speed once again.
And this time around, we are going to have those Hellions starting up quite fast here. The barracks and the factory swapping around. And if he realizes there's no Zergling speed done, good chance SpeCial goes for that Hellion run by again. He's tried it before against this Overlord speed build. And it's always a very dangerous window for the Zerg player. If those 4 Hellions get in the main base, it's a disaster. You lose so much mining time, you lose at least 7 or 8 drones, sometimes way more than that.
Yeah, and his Hellions are out and headed right across the map. Unlike last game, where I believe that's when that weird stall in his factory happened. The Overlord's going to be denied by Marines initially. Liberator is on the way. That might look like a Viking at first, but I think you'll be able to scout it eventually. The Hellions are met with Queens, so no attempt to suicide the first 2. And that is actually just a very regular opening here. No fast 3rd CC, but rather basically the kind of the quickest sim you can really get without 2-on-1.
Yep.
And then just a Liberator for some light harassment.
The 3rd base not getting saturated yet. Reynor respecting these Hellions and Reapers and their ability to dart on in there. And that Overlord having a bit of a peek around. The Marine's going to start to push that out. Does not get to see the Liberator, but the other one does.
Yep.
So Liberator going across the map, but Reynor should be well prepared for that.
I think we're going to be wanting to pay attention to what the factory is used for back at home. Is it just for building add-ons? Is it actually going to try and build some tanks? So far, not much. Add-on of Tech Lab, actually, on the start, but I think that was. But yeah, going into bio, of course, that sim is legitimate. Speed just kicks in. Stop those Hellions, get into the main base, and now those Hellions, well, not actually getting trapped.
Good pullback, though, and the Liberator sieges up at the same time. The Hellions just utilizing these gaps in the minerals, but good split from Reynor. Goes around both sides of the minerals at once, and that Spore Crawler on the natural landing. A lot of shots on that Liberator. Yeah, good play by Reynor. Just kind of anticipating this. That Liberator's got to get out of there.
Yes, it does. Barely survives, though. It could theoretically come back, but a couple Queen shots will take care of it. It looks like their upgrades will be relatively similar with similar building timings here. Marines stopping any run-bys. That is a large wall, but it is a wall. They're on Winter's Gates, and we have. I saw that SCV and I was like, is it? Did Reynor click on the supply depot and that's why he was attacking it?
I don't know. It does look a bit awkward on the north side of that. Like, I'm actually pretty sure that's not a wall. Yeah, because the SCV was on the outside of it and it just walked in. So it looks like he has left a little gap.
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, if Reynor doesn't abuse it, then he doesn't abuse it, right? It's like the sliding glass door is open and the dog doesn't know. So he's waiting for you to open it, but you're like, it's already open.
I just hope we don't have shades of IEM Taipei 2013 with Maru having a little gap in his wall that he didn't realize was there on a weird map, and 50 Lings coming in and losing him that grand finals.
There we go.
Okay, there we go, yeah. He's going to finish that wall. Third command center will move out. Double upgrades on the way. Liberator working its way across the map as well. Ling Bane versus Bio. I'm so happy we get to see this. Reynor, just such a good player at this style. And he always says, oh yeah, I think I can beat anyone's Bio play. I think I'm so good at this style. But SpeCial, one of the best in the world. So strong at it, and I can't wait to see these two go head to head.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to the Stefano Disco Bloodbath game. That was really excellent use of it.
Oh yeah.
So SpeCial's going to get that wall off up, and I think he also might wall off the ramp that Reynor's trying to abuse literally right now as I speak.
Oh no. Oh, good reaction.
Yeah, very good reaction. Unfortunately, the third SCV's all alone. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, your parents weren't there to watch you. The Marines come running back, and I guess, well, no, they shouldn't. Oh, he's going to grab him. He's just going to grab him. Combat shield's not quite done, and they were already stimmed. The 12 SCVs go down. Liberator does no damage. That was a very nice run by.
Hydra Tech on the way here for Reynor. It feels like we've been seeing just Lingbane Queen into Hive so much. And it has been struggling with certain situations. I really love the addition of the Hydras here. The sort of classic Zerg vs. Terran style over the last year and a half. Makes me very happy to see that. 6 gases are up for Reynor, 70 workers versus just the 54 of SpeCial. And upgrades are lined up. 2-2 starting up for Reynor. SpeCial's a little behind.
Yeah, these tanks, one finally gets sieged up, right? No, barely doesn't survive. He tried to save it. But they weren't actually stopping those run-bys from happening. Meanwhile, the drop of the front, trying to grab a couple banelings before it has to skedaddle. And it will, well, skedaddle more. No? All right, yeah, you do you, man. That worked.
He's like, no, we're safe.
Yeah, he's right.
I like it. He might bait him into the rest of his army. Bane speed's not ready right now. 10 more seconds on Bane speed. Uh-oh. This is going to be a really tight fight. The Hydras, he's building 8 Hydras, but they don't have upgrades yet. I think it's too soon to be going into the Hydra list. And that slow field, that inhibitor zone, looking very good.
It's a really brutal position for the Zerg to deal with, but now there's multiple angles for the Zerg to take advantage of it. So that's the play, that's the counter here, as Reynor tries to go in with the now good surround, making up for game number 1. He collapses in on the army tank, gets a couple of decent shots, but the Marines are cleaned up, and the Hydras also take out a couple of medevacs.
Nicely done here by Reynor. And those banelings get focused down there, so the tail end of that, a lot better for SpeCial. Oh no, those Hydras are in the open. You got to be careful. Does take out a medevac, a very expensive tech unit, but they have to retreat through the inhibitor zone. And a couple of Hydras do get on out of there. Hydras, amazing support unit. They shoot up, they shoot down, they attack very fast. They're bloody expensive, and they go down very quickly the moment they don't have Zergling, Baneling supporting them, though. So you can sometimes see a fight look like it's going the way of the Zerg, but if they end up losing all their Hydras in the tail end of it, then it's a big overreach, big overextension.
I mean, it definitely was an overcommitment. When the Banelings were going through there, I thought that's when he should have retreated, but underestimating how quickly the reinforcements get across the map. I talked about it last time we were casting this, like fourth actually for Reynor, but yeah, third to fourth is like under 20 seconds or something like that. So super quick reinforcements, even with those inhibitor zones. But we are into the next stage of the game. We have 4th CC on the way for specials. Reynor looking towards that high, finishing up his upgrades as he deals with this drop.
Nicely done there by SpeCial, trading out like 2 Marines for many Banelings. Always a good move. 2-2 finishing up for both sides. Hive is now on the way as well. Second factory going down. Actually, that's a third factory. Oh, no, it is a second factory there. It's going to probably add a reactor for more Widow Mine production, I would imagine, since we do see drilling claws and a 4th command center on the way. So SpeCial getting geared up for a longer game.
Reynor going for, once again, that greater spire. He's able to hold on for so long in that first game, despite being down. In this game, kind of with that Hydra overextension is kind of evened out once again. Can he actually win with the Broodlords in this scenario? A SpeCial maybe of learning this himself from that first game. He's not going to overcommit, try and end the game too early, but he should be preparing for whatever Hive has to throw at him. I don't know if he's scouted it yet, but around 11 minutes, you should be thinking about it as you do this push. You got to remember the follow-up. Yep. This push is looking quite deadly.
Oh, good backstab though.
Yes. Very
nice backstab. 4th base hasn't quite landed, but that little bit of bio gets caught out in the open at the same time. Jumping in on the front. Not that many Banelings here, but the bio was very deep on creep. Great micro. Oh no, the Banelings find the center of those Marines. A fantastic engagement for Reynor.
Oh, I think that happened. I think that was that perfect scenario where SpeCial was still clicking forward, not realizing how far he was clicking forward, and then got run by. And so his Marines are just way out of position from those tanks. If the tanks are there and he runs back into him off of that creep, it's a totally different scenario. But SpeCial, that momentum is done. He doesn't lose the game right now, but that momentum that he had with that push is gone. Reynor now safely going up to that greater spire, adding on the upgrades, Vipers as well. And just as a defend against SpeCial's few drops, once again another run by to that 4th base. Planetary not quite done.
There's a tank that'll help a little bit. So I think that Planetary will get up, thankfully. SpeCial desperately needing it. His biotank reinforcement is going to get a bit of revenge on those Zerglings. Marines stimming through the middle at the same time. An opportunistic dive, and it finds gold.
Wow. Just diving to the middle of the map worked out. It does only grab the hatchery, not also the drones, or necessarily the army. But that was a nice little grab, considering he got out of there with most of it. Another creep. Scan should come down. If he's got it, he does have it. And now SpeCial, finally, with that Planetary, doesn't have to worry as much about those run-bys.
Yeah, this army's still got to be very careful, though. Oh, it does lose a few of those Marines, but saves most of them, gets on out. The drop in the north still ready to be annoying. But you talked about momentum in this match, Zombie Grub, such an important thing. It's a little bit hard to see it in the numbers at the bottom of the screen, but we can see it if you look at the mini-map. The creep spread is quite comfortable out towards the middle.
Oh,
bits of... Oh, that's a stack.
He just transferred it. 20 drones just about go down.
Wow.
Yet he's still at 66.
Yeah, I mean, that's big, though. Reynor's not maxed. He's actually down in supply. SpeCial's macro has been so good in this game, and he's somehow keeping up despite so many fights going Reynor's way. Reynor, of course, it feels like the better engagement player here, but SpeCial is relentless, and he's pushing through the south. The Widowmine drop about to refill here. Oh, that could potentially get some big hits. He even target fires it on the drone with one of them. The other one's running in towards that base. At the same time, his drop on the north has been cleaned up. But right now, where are the Banelings?
Yeah, where's the rest of Reynor's army? He's trying to get to those Broodlords, but they are slow. Here they come now. Hydras and a few Banelings, but that hatchery is gone. The drones are already dead thanks to those Widow Mines, or is it gone? He's actually targeting it. There he goes. Now he grabs it. Is only going to be able to escape with one medevac, however, so that was a more costly snipe than I anticipated.
Gets a couple overseers with these Marines, so hey, not bad. At least he's still trading out for more units here. Taking out another base is big. And this is one of these things, Broodlords are a scary unit, but it's hard for them to push across on this map. The Terran can keep hitting these corner bases, and it becomes difficult. But Reynor, I think he's realizing he's giving his opponent too much time. He's going to going to try and come through the middle. Broodlords without a lot of support. The Marines are just going to try and jump on top.
I think this was too overzealous. I don't know if there was actually a timing attack, but very awkward engagement. He's going through the inhibitor zone. Around that corner means the Broodlings are actually getting a ton of damage without being shot underneath. A Viper even comes forward for a blinding cloud, and this is turning maybe into Reynor's favor. A yank on that tank too, and the Broodlords are not being combated. 2 Vikings is it actually reaching them. This was so scrappy, but it does end in Reynor's favor.
Just barely keeping those Broodlords and Hydras around, and he has got such bravery. This young Italian player still pushing forwards with just a handful of Broodlords and Hydras. He senses weakness and he pushes for the advantage. He's going through here. It's just Marine Viking Mine. That is all SpeCial is building right now. And that's a problem if he gets pushed back, because in a one-directional engagement, he will lose over time against Broodlords. His Widow Mines will friendly fire, and he just has far inferior range. But if he can keep dropping, keep the movement going across the map, that's where this style can pay off huge. The Broodlords can only cover one area at once.
Yeah, exactly. And that was what tripped up Reynor not just a few minutes ago, or a couple of drops into the push. But this is still actually kind of an even game as SpeCial takes his 5th base. Reynor was very late to saturating his 5th to the top right after he lost, I guess, the 5th/6th, right? And SpeCial has an attack. The Broodlord's not quite in position, and he has a lot of Vikings. We're back to that scenario where Vikings actually are the answer, at least right now, before Reynor can add on those spellcasters.
Yeah, I'm not sure if those 2 Vipers from earlier survived. They did actually somehow. I'm very surprised to see that they survived all the action, but those will be very useful. Parasitic Bombs going to be great against the Medevac Viking Liberator. More Broodlords, more drones on the way. Reynor wants to slow this down a little bit. Just rebuilding the economy right now. It is 3-3 upgrades on both sides. Flyer upgrades are now on the way for the Broodlords as well. Oh! Ouch.
Yeah, we were so caught up in the action. I forgot to point out that SpeCial's 3-3 was actually pretty late. It finished kind of after that last Broodlord fight. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any differences what happened earlier, because so much of the fights back and forth have been due to, being overzealous, not realizing your army's quite so far forward on creep, or letting those Hydras run through the inhibitor zone. So it's been a little less about maybe technical advantage of the upgrades. Oh, nice Widow Mine shot in the banelings.
Very exposed. The bunker's not ready yet. That's 15 SCVs in the open.
Yes, it is.
Ouch.
CC also going to get very low if he's not going to repair it. Parasitic Bomb on top of the Vikings, even dealing damage to the Liberator, almost takes them out.
That's a big Parasitic Bomb. The Marine's going to come forward. Oh, no, the Vikings getting obliterated. Another Broodlord comes in from the left-hand side, and that is it. Reynor runs the gauntlet, but he comes out victorious.
Wow. What a last game to give us, though. That 3-1 was not quite indicative of the quality of those games. Very fun stuff coming up from this young lad. And big props to SpeCial as well for his performance here. But once again, Reynor, the finals of Montreal. And is it going to be that epic, as always, Reynor versus Sterile finals?
I mean, this could be his 3rd championship this year, including that winter one. This could be the year where he takes over that title of the best player undisputed in the Western scene. We're going to see exactly how it goes. Let's hear from the man himself down on the stage with Cloaken.
Thanks so much, Pig. That's right. I'm here with Reynor. Congratulations, man. You've made your way to the finals. Of course, we all believed in you. It was awesome. I want to talk a little bit about that match, though, that game 1 in particular. It was amazing. You were even playing behind on upgrades, and yet you were sticking with him. It was incredible play on your part, but I want to know what happened there. Get your feedback.
I thought he had a 4th base that I couldn't see on the top, on the right side. So I wasn't sure. But if I knew he didn't have a 4th base, I wouldn't have engaged there. So I think, just a misunderstanding from me. Yeah, that's what cost me the game. Yeah.
Well, it's all right. You definitely proved you had the better play today. You move on to the grand finals. And I have a question for you. Are you confident and happy with your performance so far, or do you have more to prove here this weekend? Are you happy, or is there more?
I think I can do better. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, let's hope I can prove it. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, this is the last chance we're going to have to hear from you before the grand finals. Is there anything you want to say to your fans, to this audience, to anyone out there watching on the stream? What would you like to say?
Yeah, the crowd is amazing as always in Montreal. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will do my best.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Reynor. We're back to the desk with you, Claris.
2 grand finals in a row for young Reynor. The usurper of WCS is coming to take even more territory off of SpeCial here in 2019. Can you feel it in the air, Todd? Can you feel it?
I can.
The Guardian of Guadalajara is no more. He's down. He's out in the round of 4, and Reynor marches on to the grand final.
We're entering a new era. If we weren't even there yet, it's not SpeCial's era anymore. It's SpeCial and Reynor's era nowadays in the WCS circuit. And really, like, with that result here, this marks that change, in my opinion, where these two just, they seem to dominate the whole. The second semi hasn't been played yet. Obviously, Nib could come and, like, beat SpeCial, but it's all about SpeCial and Reynor, it feels like, in that WCS circuit.
All right, Johan, before the series started, you said you're going to put me on the spot. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. What was more impressive, Reynor's gameplay or my perfect prediction?
Your prediction? No, actually, no. Reynor's obviously played incredible. But yeah, good job.
Yeah. I'm very happy.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Jeez Louise.
Well, I mean, I'm just... No, I thought it was very fun to see. I wonder how much of an impact this map pool has. Like, I know that a lot of Terrans cry wolf immediately when there's a new map pool. Like, yep, that's it. We're done. We can't win. But obviously, like, if you think back about the maps we had before, like a maps like King's Cove, right? That was perfect for Mac. A very sweet tree-based setup and stuff. This plays out a little bit differently. But I don't necessarily think like, oh man, like it's so hard for Terran that they will never be able to do anything. I just think it takes a little bit of time. But I also think that Reynor played incredibly well. But I do think it's amazing to see like how Reynor tackles this matchup and SpeCial. Even though they play the same race, that doesn't look like the same gameplay at all, right? It's so different. The pace is completely different. The timings that they're trying to hit is so different. But apparently, both things can work if the execution is great.
Let's check in with the bracket here as we claim a spot in the grand final already, and it is Reynor's up towards the top. He could potentially become back-to-back champion here in Montreal, as previously Summer was claimed by him. And Nib against SpeCial is our next matchup. These 3 names that remain here in WCS Fall are the 3 names, apart from Eliza, that have been so prevalent throughout the entirety of 2 years of StarCraft 2 here on the WCS circuit, Todd.
Yeah, the consistency that we're reaching with those results is actually quite incredible. Like, we used to have upsets all the time here and there. It used to be kind of hard, to predict who was going to face SpeCial in the grand finals. But nowadays, we can only narrow it down to just so few names. And they're just, it feels reaching another level, which is crazy because StarCraft 2 has so many pro gamers that are trying extremely hard. They're training so many hours, but somehow these guys, they manage to get ahead of the curve and they kind of stay there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some people find it boring, and I really do not find it boring at all, because I feel this is all we ever wanted. We want StarCraft 2 to be the epitome of skill. We want the best players to prevail. And like Johan said, if you look at that round of 32, that's a lot of very good guys in there that practice their butts off 24/7. Yet these 3-4, they keep ending up on top. And that's just because they are incredibly good, and it obviously says something about the game as well, that the best players won't just win often. No, they can pretty much win all the time as long as they're actually better than the rest. And SpeCial and Reynor simply are better than the rest. And of course, Nib, SpeCial, I mean, those guys, they deserve a standing ovation for that consistency. It's amazing.
Absolutely. There is a huge chunk of StarCraft 2, even pro gamers, that can continue to even, as good as they are, continue to even aspire to be where these guys are. The band of the top 8 or even the top 3 in these kind of chunks is absolutely incredible. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to go to a short break here, and when we return, we have our next round of 4 match. We have the champion, basically, of the entire circuit when it comes to 2017 in Nib, going up against the world champion in SpeCial. Don't go anywhere. We continue right after this.